What is going on, guys? Eric from Bolts and Banter here. It is a cold day on the driveway, but we are outside working anyway. And today we are going to review this Foxwell BT705 battery analyzer. Before we get going with this test, shout out to Foxwell. Thank you very much for sending this over to us. We are going to go ahead and test this with a couple of batteries that we have both installed inside of the cars as well as outside. And we are going to compare it very quickly to the old style load testers that we have right here. Now, before we get started with the BT705, I'm sure you guys have seen one of these or used one of these. It's an old school load tester, and yes, they are still very functional and they still work. If you go to the junkyard a lot, you'll see the cashier at the junkyard use one of these to load test a battery that you'll buy used, so that way you can make sure that the battery is actually worth purchasing before you go ahead and pay for it. Now, this is very simple. It's not digital at all, and what it does is it will generate heat via a heating element in the back, and that's why it has this little grill in the stand here. And when you go ahead and hook it up to the battery, it's just going to test how well that battery is, and while it does that, the byproduct is it will generate heat. So later on in the video, you'll see this glow a little bit from testing the battery. The cool thing about these new style battery testers like this Foxwell BT705 is that it does not have a heating element, and it's all digital now, and that's really, really cool. You don't have to worry about putting down a hot battery tester or potentially burning yourself with that. Now, I've done an unboxing with this before just off camera to see what is inside the box, but to show you guys, it comes in a very nice case, which is good for your garage or your shop. That way you can store it off on a shelf without having to get it dirty. And this is what the diagnostic tool looks like. So you have this handheld scanner, and it is connected by a non-removable wire to, very simple, two alligator clips, positive and negative. And all you got to do is hook this up to the battery, and then we'll go through the menu later on, but it's as simple as positive, negative, hooking this up, and then there's a bunch of menus that you'll click through, and this will tell you whether or not your battery is good. So enough talking, let's get outside and go check it out, hook it up to some batteries. All right, so we hooked up our old school load tester, and it's kind of difficult to read it. You only have red, yellow, and green, and a very vague scale. Let's click load. Once we press that load button, we're getting about 500 CCAs. Hard to read once again. And as you press that button, you'll see in the back, it's generating quite a lot of heat. So now I need to go put this down in an area where it doesn't burn, and super cumbersome to use. So let me get rid of that and show you guys how much easier it is to use a newer style digital scanner like the Foxwell BT705. So we're using a battery here from Duralast. It's on the cheapy Civic, and it is rated for 530 cold cranking amps at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It's right about 35 degrees out today, so nice day to test it. Right away when you hook up the Foxwell scanner, it says 12.54 volts. That's the first reading. We're gonna go ahead and go to menu, click on battery test, 12 volt system, regular, and it is in the vehicle. It's a top post battery. It is a regular battery, and right now it's the CCA menu. We're gonna go ahead and click enter. Like I said, it's rated for 530 CCA, so we'll set it to 530, press enter, and it's gonna go ahead and do the load test right now. It gives you temperature readings in Celsius, and right now, like I said, we're at 35 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's above 0 Celsius. Go ahead and click OK. Please wait. And it's measuring 12.6 volts at 474 CCAs, so not bad. It's what we expected from a battery that is probably a couple years old at this point. We're gonna go ahead and start the car and see what we get once we run the starter test. Okay, so the engine is running, and the Foxwell scanner is now telling us that it's good recharge. Let's go ahead and press enter and go to the next test. It says engine's already running, so we'll turn the engine off and then we'll try it again. Okay, it says to start the engine. All right, so it says cranking is normal, 11.34 volts. 0.72 seconds to start it. Let's go ahead to the next menu. It's asking to rev the engine, so we'll go ahead and do it from here. It detected the rev. Now it wants us to keep the engine at idle. Turn high beams and blower motor on. Go ahead and do that. Now that we have the high beams on, the blower motor on, we'll press enter. All right, rev the engine. All right, turn off engine and the loads. Okay, engine's off, press enter. No problems detected. So again, super simple test of a battery that's installed inside the car. Very, very nice to see all of this functionality here. A lot more than what you would get in a standard load tester. And while the other load tester might not ever fail and it's super old school and it's mechanical, there won't be any issues with it. The only thing it's gonna tell you is a vague description of whether or not your charging system is good and whether or not your battery is good. This Foxwell scanner has a bunch of diagnostic tests that will help you chase down any issues that you have with the battery or the starter or the alternator and your electrical system in general. And it is definitely worth purchasing if you're a DIY guy or a mechanic that needs to chase these issues down fairly quickly and get a clear diagnosis of what could possibly be wrong. Before we go, we're going to test out some other batteries that aren't installed in the car, because the Foxwell system does have the ability to test batteries that aren't installed or connected to a vehicle. So I do want to do that. So we'll be right back and we'll test out some batteries that we have in the garage. All right, so we have this battery here that was removed from a car that we purchased and since sold. It's from Japan and the CCAs are rated for 510. And we have it on a maintainer and the maintainer shows that it is fully charged. I don't really think that it's fully charged, and to test my hypothesis, we're gonna use this Foxwell analyzer and we'll see what it actually tells us about the battery health. So let's go ahead and hook it up. Let's disconnect the maintainer. Positive and negative right here. It says 12.7 volts right after removing it from the maintainer. Let's go ahead and go through all the menus. Regular, it is out of the vehicle this time. Top post, regular. Let's rate the CCAs for 510. Let it test. All right, so it's saying replace the battery, measuring 29 CCAs off of the original 510. Again, we've had this battery just hanging out in the garage on a maintainer. We didn't expect it to work. Unlike the tests you can conduct on the battery when it's connected to the vehicle, it's only 1 out of 2 menus here because there is no alternator or starter to test. But this gives you a clear diagnosis that this battery is no longer good and we're gonna have to toss it. We're gonna do one more test with a dead battery that's hooked up to the car and we'll see what the Foxwell scanner tells us. So the last test we have is on this Land Cruiser Prado, and we actually need to replace the battery on this. It is completely dead, and after jump starting it once, for example, on a Monday, by Tuesday, it will no longer start on its own. So just out of curiosity, let's hook up this Foxwell scanner to see what it says about this battery. 5.6 volts right off the bat. Let's click enter, 12 volt system. Go through all the menus. Actually, let's go back. It's in the vehicle, top post, regular, and it is rated for the lettering is in Japanese. Let's go ahead and just assume that it's rated for 510 CCAs. Yes, there's no rating, so double check that. There's no rating there, so let's just click OK. Let's see how many CCAs it gives us. I don't expect more than 50. It's got 22 and it says to replace the battery. We can go to the starter test, but of course this battery is super dead, so we're not going to be able to start it at all. That is a quick little review of the Foxwell BT705, and at the time of this review recording, it is about $110 on Amazon. And my honest review on this is if you are consistently working with vehicle electrical systems, be it 12-volt systems or 24-volt systems, and you need to chase down electrical problems, I do think this is a necessary tool in your arsenal, and it doesn't come at an expensive price. You get a lot of features that are so much more in-depth than the traditional load tester. And while if you already have one of those, you might not be looking to upgrade, this is definitely a better upgrade, and it's much easier to use without any of the fuss of the heating element and the limited capability that those old school testers have. If you guys are interested in purchasing one of these Foxwell battery analyzers, I will leave a link in the description below, so that way you guys can check it out on Amazon, as well as some other videos and reviews there. If you like this review and want to see more product reviews on this channel, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to Bolts and Banter for more automotive content. I want to thank you guys for watching, and once again, I am Eric from Bolts and Banter. See you in the next one.